Donna had been minding her own business for exactly 3 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days. Not that anyone was counting, except her, obviously, because when you're the only human in a classroom full of beings that look like they stepped out of a fever dream, you tend to keep track of how long you've managed not to cause an interstellar incident. The Intergalactic Institute of Xenobiology sat perched on Oscillum Prime like a crystalline crown, all gleaming spires and impossible architecture that made M.C. Escher look like he lacked imagination. Donna had walked through those doors on her first day with exactly 2 goals: learn everything she could about alien biology and absolutely, under no circumstances, draw attention to herself. 3 months in, she was batting 1,000 on goal number 1. Goal number 2? Well, that was about to go spectacularly off the rails, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Dr. Uzalith, who looked like a praying mantis had a baby with a philosophy professor, and that baby got really into formal academic robes, stood at the front of comparative physiology and interspecies dynamics, mandibles clicking in what Donna had learned to recognize as thoughtful contemplation. 6 compound eyes swiveled independently, tracking the movements of roughly 30 students scattered throughout the amphitheater-style classroom. And what a collection of students it was! Donna sat in the middle row, her standard-issue datapad balanced on her knee, surrounded by what could only be described as the universe's most diverse group project. To her left, a gelatinous blob named something unpronounceable that translated to consciousness within flowing waters. Everyone just called them waters. Burbled softly, their translucent body shifting through shades of purple and green. To her right, a crystalline entity that communicated through light refraction sat perfectly still, occasionally sending prismatic patterns across the ceiling that meant anything from "I agree" to "I need to use the restroom." But the real star of the show, at least in his own mind, sat 3 rows down and 2 seats over. Zulmora. If you took a panther, gave it the attitude of a trust fund kid who'd never been told no, scaled it up to about 6 feet tall, covered it in obsidian scales that caught the light like oil slicks, and gave it just enough intelligence to be dangerous, you'd have something approaching Zulmora. He lounged in his seat like he owned the place, tail swishing with lazy arrogance, claws drumming an irritating rhythm on his desk. Midnight Reach, his homeworld, was apparently the apex of civilization, if you asked him. Which nobody did, but that had never stopped him from sharing. Donna had spent 3 months perfecting her polite smile, while he waxed poetic about his species' superiority. She'd nodded along when he described their flawless hunting techniques and unmatched physical prowess. She'd even managed not to roll. Her eyes when he'd compared other species to evolutionary rough drafts. Patience, her mother had always said, was a virtue. Donna was about to discover she'd run clean out of it. Today, Dr. Uzalith announced, their translator box rendering their clicks and whistles into perfect galactic common, we will be conducting practical demonstrations in gravitational adaptation and strength metrics across species. A collective murmur rippled through the classroom. Practical demonstrations meant leaving the comfortable lecture hall and heading to the Institute's zero-gravity gymnasium, which was always an adventure when you had students who ranged from gaseous to nearly liquid. Please gather your belongings and proceed to Laboratory Complex 9, Dr. Uzalith continued. We will be measuring lifting capacity relative to body mass, analyzing muscular efficiency, and documenting the fascinating variety of physical adaptations that allow species to thrive in their native environments. Lopix, a nervous bundle of fur and twitching whiskers, who sat directly in front of Donna, turned around with eyes the size of dinner plates. He looked like someone had taken a rabbit, stood it upright, gave it opposable thumbs, and then told it there would be a test. "Oh no," Lopix whispered, his translator rendering his squeaks into anxious common. Oh no, I'm terrible at physical demonstrations. Last time we did one of these, I pulled a muscle just watching the warm-up exercises. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to complain. You'll be fine," Donna said gently, giving him what she hoped was a reassuring smile. "Nobody's judging you. It's just data collection." "Easy for you to say." Zulmora's voice cut through the general chatter like a knife through butter. He'd twisted in his seat to look back at them, a smirk playing across his features that made Donna's teeth itch. "Some of us were actually built for physical challenges. Others—" His gaze flicked dismissively over Lopix, then landed on Donna with barely concealed amusement. "Others were built for gentler pursuits." Lopix shrank down into his fur, ears flattening against his skull. Donna felt her jaw tighten, but she forced herself to keep smiling. 3 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days without incident. She could make it 3 months, 2 weeks, and 5 days. Probably. "Physical strength takes many forms," she said evenly, closing her datapad with deliberate care. "I'm sure we'll all learn something interesting." "Oh, I'm certain we will," Zulmora purred, standing and stretching in a way that showed off every inch of his predatory build. "I'm particularly looking forward to seeing what the mammalian species can manage. For scientific curiosity, of course." The way he said mammalian made it sound like an insult. Donna watched him saunter toward the exit, tail swishing with satisfaction, and took a very slow, very deliberate breath. Patience. Virtue. 3 months, 2 weeks, 5 days. She stood, tucking her datapad under her arm. Lopix scrambled to his feet beside her, still apologizing for things that hadn't happened yet. Behind them, Pip, a floating sphere of sentient gas contained in a shimmering force field, bobbed along, their surface flickering through a pattern of colors that Donna had learned meant something between curiosity and amusement. "This should be interesting," Waters burbled, their common slightly distorted by the liquid nature of their voice box. "Zulmora has been insufferable lately. More so than usual." "Lately?" Donna muttered. "I thought that was just his baseline." Waters made a sound like liquid laughter. "Fair point." Laboratory Complex 9 turned out to be less a laboratory and more a cathedral to physical fitness. The gymnasium stretched 3 stories high, with adjustable gravity plates built into every surface, and enough space to comfortably fit species ranging from the microscopic to the genuinely massive. Equipment lined the walls, most of it completely foreign to Donna, though she recognized the basic concept behind the adaptive weight modules that Dr. Uzalith was currently calibrating. "Please form an orderly queue," Dr. Uzalith instructed, gesturing with 2 of their 4 arms while the other 2 made adjustments to a holographic display. "We will proceed through measurements alphabetically, by species designation. This ensures consistent data collection and, Zulmora, please stop flexing. You're distorting the gravity readings." Zulmora, who had indeed been flexing various muscle groups while standing too close to a sensor array, backed off with a laugh that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Just warming up, Doctor. Wouldn't want to pull anything during the demonstration." Donna found a spot along the wall between Lopix and a methane-breathing student whose name she could never quite pronounce correctly. The student nodded at her through their containment suit, and Donna nodded back, watching as the first few species began their demonstrations. It was, she had to admit, genuinely interesting from a scientific perspective. A species of silicon-based beings from a high-gravity world managed impressive lifts relative to their crystalline structure. A pair of aquatic students, temporarily supported in mobile water tanks, demonstrated strength that was remarkable considering they'd evolved in essentially zero-resistance environments. Lopix's turn came, and Donna found herself genuinely hoping he'd do well. He approached the weight module like it might bite him, ears flat against his skull, whiskers trembling. Dr. Uzalith adjusted the module to Lopix's body structure and set it to a modest weight. Lopix lifted. Barely. The module rose perhaps 6 inches off the ground before he set it down with a gasp, looking like he'd just run a marathon. According to the display, he'd managed to lift approximately 0.4 times his body weight. "Excellent effort," Dr. R.B. Uzalith said kindly, making notes on their datapad. "Your species' musculature is optimized for speed and evasion rather than raw strength, which is perfectly valid evolutionary strategy." Lopix practically collapsed with relief, scurrying back to the wall and looking like he might pass out. Donna gave him a thumbs up, a gesture she'd taught him during their first week, and which he'd found endlessly amusing, and he managed a weak smile in return. More students went, more data was collected. Donna watched the numbers, her mind automatically calculating ratios and comparing them to what she knew about human physiology. Most species ranged from 0.3 to 1.2 times their body weight. Impressive for some, standard for others, all perfectly normal according to the galactic average. Then it was Zulmora's turn, and oh, didn't he just love that? He approached the weight module like he was walking onto a stage, all confident swagger and predatory grace. Dr. Uzalith adjusted the settings, and the display showed Zulmora's weight, 340 pounds of pure condensed arrogance wrapped in obsidian scales. "Please proceed when ready," Dr. Uzalith said, stylus poised over their datapad. Zulmora cracked his neck, rolled his shoulders, and gripped the module's handles. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a smooth motion that spoke of genuine strength, he lifted. The module rose cleanly, held steady at chest height for a 5 count, and then lowered with controlled precision. 612 pounds. 1.8 times his body weight. It was, Donna had to admit, genuinely impressive. The best in the class so far by a considerable margin. Naturally, Zulmora wasn't content to let the numbers speak for themselves. "You see," he said, not even breathing hard, addressing the room at large like he'd been invited to give a lecture. "This is what proper evolution looks like. My species didn't hide in burrows or develop tools to compensate for physical inadequacy. We conquered our world through pure, natural superiority." His gaze swept the room, lingering on Lopix, on Waters, on several other students who'd posted more modest numbers. "We are what happens when a species is forged in the fires of true competition, where only the strongest survive to pass on their genetics." Dr. Uzalith's mandibles clicked in what might have been irritation. "Thank you, Zulmora. Please return to your position so we can continue." "I mean, look at us," Zulmora continued, "because of course he did." He gestured to himself with obvious pride. Midnight Reach produced the perfect predator. Speed, strength, intelligence, and instinct all combined into a flawless package. Other species. He turned, and his eyes found Donna with laser focus. Other species had to get creative, didn't they? Had to invent pointy sticks and fire because their claws weren't sharp enough. Had to build shelters because their hide wasn't thick enough. Had to cook their food because their digestive systems were too delicate. Donna felt something shift in her chest. A small thing, really. Barely noticeable. Like a switch flipping, or a dam developing its first tiny crack. fragile, pink mammals from backwater worlds, Zulmora said, smiling with too many teeth. It must be difficult, knowing you're only here because you got clever enough to compensate for being weak. 3 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days of patience. Gone. Just like that. Donna pushed off from the wall and took 3 steps forward. When she spoke, her voice was perfectly calm, perfectly level, perfectly pleasant. You want to see fragile? The gymnasium went very, very quiet. Zulmora turned fully to face her, and if Donna had been in a more charitable mood, she might have appreciated the genuine surprise that flickered across his features before being replaced by amused condescension. He tilted his head, scales catching the light like polished stone, and made a sound that might have been a chuckle in something with different vocal cords. "Please, human," he said, drawing out the word like it was something distasteful. "Don't embarrass yourself. Your species couldn't hunt if your lives depended on it. Oh wait, they did. And you invented tools because you were too weak to do it properly." Dr. Uzalith stepped between them, all 4 arms raised in a gesture that clearly meant, "Let's all calm down and remember we're in an academic setting." Their translator box crackled slightly with stress. "Donna, Zulmora, I must insist that we maintain professional decorum. This is a scientific exercise, not a—" "No, no," Donna said, still in that same pleasant tone that was somehow more threatening than shouting would have been. "I think this is a great learning opportunity. Very scientific. Very educational." She looked past Dr. Uzalith directly at Zulmora. "You wanted a demonstration of comparative strength, right? Data collection? That's what we're here for." Lopix made a sound like a squeaky toy being stepped on. Pip flashed a rapid sequence of colors that Donna's translator earpiece rendered as, "Oh, this is going to be good/terrible." "Donna," Dr. Uzalith tried again, but Donna was already walking toward the weight module, and something in her stride made even the professor step aside. She stopped in front of the module, looking at it with the kind of clinical assessment usually reserved for grocery store produce. "What's the weight limit on this thing?" Dr. Uzalith's compound eyes swiveled in confusion. "The modules can simulate up to 15,000 pounds, but no species in this class has ever required more than—" "Great," Donna interrupted. "I won't need nearly that much." Zulmora laughed. Actually laughed, the sound echoing off the gymnasium's high ceiling like breaking glass. "Oh, this I have to see. What are you going to do, little mammal? Lift 50 pounds and call it a fee-see? Victory? 100? I'm sure we can all applaud your effort very encouragingly." Donna stepped onto the measurement platform, and the holographic display flickered to life above her head. 165 pounds, it read. Perfectly average for a human woman of her height and build. Perfectly unremarkable by any standard. She cracked her knuckles, a habit she'd picked up from her dad, who'd spent 20 years in construction, and rolled her shoulders twice. "Let's start with 300, she said to Dr. Uzalith, just to warm up. 300 pounds? Dr. Uzalith's mandibles clicked rapidly. That's nearly twice your body weight. I really don't think— 300, please. The doctor adjusted the module with visible reluctance. It reconfigured itself, adapting to human physiology, and the weight display settled on exactly 300 pounds. Donna approached it, checked her stance, feet shoulder-width apart, back straight, core engaged, and gripped the handles. She took one breath, held it, and lifted. Smooth. Clean. No struggle, no shake, just pure mechanical efficiency. Up to mid-thigh, hold for a 3 count, back down with control. The gymnasium was so quiet, you could have heard a pin drop in the next building. The display showed the numbers in bright, cheerful holograms. 1.8 times body weight, exactly matching Zulmora's impressive lift. Zulmora's smile flickered. "Oh, sorry," Donna said, setting the module down gently and looking back at the predator with wide, innocent eyes. "I thought we were warming up. Are we starting now?" Waters made that liquid laughter sound again, louder this time. Pip cycled through approximately 15 different colors in rapid succession. Lopix had both paws pressed over his mouth, eyes wider than Donna had ever seen them. Dr. Uzalith looked like they were reconsidering their entire career path. "Donna, perhaps we should discuss the parameters of 400, Donna said. The module reconfigured. Donna lifted. Same smooth motion, same controlled precision. 400 pounds rose and fell like it was nothing more than a loaded barbell at her gym back home. 2.4 times body weight. 500. Up. Down. Controlled breathing. Perfect form. 3 times body weight. Students were standing now, pressing closer. The orderly queue forgotten entirely. A low murmur ran through the crowd, dozens of species all suddenly recalculating everything they thought they knew about the quiet human who sat in the middle row and took diligent notes. Zulmora wasn't smiling anymore. His tail had stopped swishing. He stood perfectly still, watching, and something in his posture had shifted. Something instinctive. Something that came from being a predator species with very, very good survival instincts. "You know what's funny about humans?" Donna said conversationally, adjusting the module to 600 pounds. "We're persistence hunters." She gripped the handles, lifted, held. 600 pounds trembling slightly now, but still rising, still controlled. We didn't need to be fast. We didn't need venom or claws or armor plating. 600 pounds down, 650 up. We just needed to never, ever stop. Her voice wasn't strained, wasn't even breathing particularly hard. She could have been discussing the weather. Back on Earth, that's my backwater world, in case anyone forgot. We hunted by chasing things until they collapsed. Not for minutes, not for hours, for days sometimes. 700 pounds. We're the only species on our planet that can run marathons in the heat of the day. Every other mammal has to rest, has to cool down, has to stop. Up, down, breathe. Not us. We just keep going. Our prey would run, and we'd follow. They'd run faster, exhaust themselves, and we'd still be there. Still coming. Still taking one step after another until their hearts literally exploded from exhaustion. Zulmora was backing up now. Just a step. Just one. But Donna noticed, and the smile that crossed her face was not particularly friendly. 800 pounds, she announced, making the adjustment herself. Dr. Uzalith had given up pretending to be in control of this situation and was just frantically taking notes, all 4 arms moving at once. 800 pounds rose. Donna's arms shook, the first real sign of strain. But it rose. She held it for a 5 count, muscles standing out in sharp relief against her skin, and then lowered it with the same glacial control. We climbed to the top of the food chain on a high-gravity death world, she continued. And now there was an edge to her voice, something sharp enough to cut. Without venom, without claws, without scales or armor or any of the things you seem to think make a species superior. She looked at Zulmora, really looked at him, and he took another involuntary step backward. We did it by being too stubborn to die. 850 pounds. The module groaned slightly under the reconfiguration. Donna approached it, and every being in that gymnasium held their breath. She lifted. Slower this time, genuine effort visible in every line of her body, but steady, inexorable. Like a glacier, like continental drift, like every force of nature that moves slowly but absolutely will not be stopped. Up, hold, down. And then Donna stepped away from the module entirely. She walked toward Zulmora, and he actually retreated, his predator's brain screaming warnings that his conscious mind was still trying to process. She stopped about 6 feet away from him, close enough to make her point, far enough to be non-threatening. "Dr. Uzalith," she said, never taking her eyes off Zulmora. "What's the average weight for Midnight Reach species again? Heavier than humans, right?" Dr. Uzalith's translator box crackled. "Yes. They average 320 to 360 pounds, depending on gender and regional variation." "And Zulmora, specifically?" 340 pounds. Donna's smile could have cut diamonds. Perfect. For one frozen moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Somewhere in the back of the crowd, a student's translator box whispered a prayer in a language that predated spaceflight. Then Donna moved. Fast. Clinical. Precise. She closed the distance, ducked low, and before Zulmora's higher brain functions could override his shock, she had him in a proper lifting grip. One arm between his legs, one around his chest. Textbook deadlift positioning. And then Donna lifted 340 pounds of apex predator clean off the ground. Just hoisted him up like he was a piece of furniture she was rearranging, held him there at waist height, steady as stone, while the entire gymnasium lost its collective mind. Pip flashed through every color in the visible spectrum, and possibly a few that weren't. Waters literally splashed against the sides of their containment vessel. Lopix fainted, just straight up dropped like someone had cut his power cord, and had to be caught by a startled crystalline classmate. Dr. Uzalith dropped their datapad, and Donna just stood there, holding 340 pounds of shocked predator at waist height, like this was a completely normal thing to do on a school day. Zulmora, for his part, had gone completely rigid. His claws were retracted, his tail hung limp, and his eyes, all three of them, because Midnight Reachers had that third one in the middle of their forehead for peripheral vision, were wider than physically seemed possible. He looked like someone had just fundamentally rewritten his understanding of the universe, and he was still trying to process the updated manual. "You know what else is funny about humans?" Donna said, her voice perfectly conversational, despite the fact that she was currently deadlifting a whole entire person. "We have these things called fast-twitch muscle fibers. They're different from the slow-twitch ones that let us run forever. These ones are for explosive power." She adjusted her grip, shifted her weight, and, with a smooth motion that suggested she'd done this exact thing before, transitioned Zulmora from a deadlift position to a fireman's carry across her shoulders. Then she started walking around the gymnasium, just casually strolling in a circle, 340 pounds of apex predator draped across her shoulders like a particularly avant-garde fashion accessory, while 30-something alien students watched in various states of shock, awe, and existential crisis. "Fast-twitch fibers let us lift about 3 times our body weight, if we train for it," Donna continued, her breathing slightly elevated but still controlled. Still steady. "Some humans can do more. There's this whole sport back home called powerlifting. People compete to see who can lift the most weight in different categories." She made another lap. Zulmora had started to shake, not from any physical struggle, but from the sheer cognitive dissonance of being carried around like a bag of laundry by something he'd called fragile 10 minutes ago. "Last I checked, the deadlift world record was over 1,100 pounds. That's about 6.6 times what I weigh." She paused, looking up at Zulmora's inverted face with an expression of cheerful helpfulness. "Math's not really your strong suit, though, is it?" Let me put it in perspective. That's like you lifting 2,200 pounds. Can you do that? Zulmora made a sound somewhere between a whimper and a growl. It was not a dignified sound. I didn't think so, Donna said pleasantly. And you know what? I'm not even that strong, comparatively speaking. I just go to the gym 4 times a week. Did some powerlifting training in college. Pretty standard stuff for humans who like staying fit. She walked back to the center of the gymnasium, and with the same careful precision she'd used to lift him, set Zulmora down, gently, like she was placing a fragile vase on a high shelf. His legs didn't immediately support him. He sat down hard on the gymnasium floor, staring at his claws like they'd personally betrayed him. Donna dusted off her hands and turned to face the crowd of students who were all staring at her like she'd just sprouted wings and started reciting poetry in binary. "Any questions?" she asked brightly. The silence stretched for approximately 5 seconds before absolutely everyone started talking at once. Impossible. The mass-to-strength ratio doesn't need to recalculate all my assumptions about mammalian. Someone please check on Lopix. I think he's still unconscious. Is this a human thing or a Donna thing? Because I need to know if I should be terrified of the entire species. Dr. Uzilith raised all 4 arms for silence, and the chatter died down to a manageable murmur. Their mandibles were clicking so rapidly it sounded like castanets. "Donna," they said, and their translator box was having trouble keeping up with whatever emotion was flooding their voice. "Donna, I need you to explain. Immediately. Are you cybernetically enhanced? Genetically modified? Using some form of gravity manipulation technology I'm not detecting?" "Nope," Donna said cheerfully. "Just regular human. Well, regular human who works out. My dad was a construction worker, so I grew up helping him move heavy stuff. Learned proper lifting technique pretty young. But this is—" Dr. Uzilith gestured helplessly at the weight module, at Zulmora's still-sitting form, at reality in general. "This defies everything we know about your species' physiological baseline." "Does it, though?" Donna pulled out her datapad, tapped a few commands, and pulled up a holographic display. "What's Earth's gravitational constant?" Dr. Uzilith consulted their own device. 9.8 meters per second squared. "And Oscillum Prime's gravity?" 7.5 meters per second squared. "So I've been living and training in what is, for me, a reduced gravity environment for 3 months. Donna enlarged the hologram, showing a comparison chart. "Every time I lift something here, it weighs about 23% less than it would back home. Every time I move, I'm fighting less resistance. Every workout I've done in the Institute gym has been easier than what my body's adapted to." Waters burbled something that the translator rendered as, "Oh, sweet, merciful currents." "But that doesn't explain the absolute numbers," Dr. Uzilith protested. "Even accounting for gravitational differential, your species shouldn't be capable of—" Donna tapped another command, and video files began playing in the holographic display. A human woman, built like a tank, wearing something called a lifting belt, approached a barbell loaded with weight plates. The caption read, "World record attempt, 683 lbs." The woman in the video lifted it. Clean, smooth, professional. Another video. A man in an emergency situation, a car tilted at an angle, someone trapped underneath. The man grabbed the car's frame and just lifted it, enough for the trapped person to scramble free. Another. A competition of some kind. People pulling trucks with ropes. Actual trucks. Vehicles that probably weighed several thousand pounds. "This is a Tuesday back home," Donna said quietly, and for the first time since this whole demonstration started, Her voice carried something other than humor, something older, something that spoke to millions of years of evolution on a world that did not forgive weakness. This is what humans do when we're not even trying to be impressive. We move furniture, we lift groceries, we carry our children, and we do it all on a high-gravity world that spent 4 billion years trying to kill us in increasingly creative ways. Pip floated closer, their colors shifting to a pattern that meant deep curiosity. They flashed a question that translated to, "Your planet was actively hostile?" "Oh, you have no idea," Donna said, warming to the topic. "Earth has weather patterns that can destroy entire cities. Temperature swings from 50 below zero to 50 above. Predators in every ecological niche, land, sea, and air. Diseases that can kill you in days. Parasites that eat you from the inside. Plants that are poisonous to touch. Insects that carry plagues. Atmospheric phenomena that can flash fry you if you're standing in the wrong spot." She pulled up more files, and the students crowded closer despite themselves. Images of hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis. Pictures of creatures that seemed designed by a malevolent committee. Great white sharks, saltwater crocodiles, polar bears, box jellyfish, poisonous frogs the size of a thumb that could kill 30 adult humans with their skin secretions alone. "And those are just the things trying to kill us from the outside," Donna continued. "Our own bodies can turn against us, cancer, autoimmune disorders. Our appendix can just decide to explode one day for literally no reason. Our wisdom teeth grow in wrong and have to be surgically removed. Women of our species go through a monthly hormone cycle that can be genuinely debilitating. And childbirth has a mortality rate that's terrifying even with modern medicine." Lopix, who had regained consciousness and was being supported by 2 concerned classmates, made a sound like a wounded animal. "Why would evolution do that to you?" "Because Earth doesn't care about fair," Donna said simply. "It cares about what survives. And humans survived by getting really, really good at 2 things: adapting and absolutely refusing to quit." Zulmora finally spoke, his voice hoarse and quiet. "Your world tried to kill you at every turn." It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact, delivered with the weight of new understanding. Donna looked down at him and nodded. "Yeah, pretty much constantly. Still does. And you just adapted." "We're really good at not dying," Donna said. "It's kind of our thing." The gymnasium stayed quiet for a long moment, the weight of that statement settling over everyone like morning frost. Then Dr. Uzalith did something Donna had never seen them do before. They sat down, just lowered themselves onto a bench designed for students 3 times their size, and stared at their datapad like it had started speaking in tongues. "I need to recalibrate," the professor said faintly. "Everything. All of it. My entire curriculum on Death World classifications is apparently woefully inadequate." "Death World?" Donna blinked. "Earth's classified as a death world?" "Class 8 on the hazard scale," Waters burbled, flowing closer with obvious fascination. "Most of us come from Class 2 or 3 worlds. Zulmora's Midnight Reach is a Class 4, which is why he's been so insufferable about it. Class 8 means your planet meets at least 15 criteria for environments actively hostile to complex life." "Wait, there are 15 criteria, and Earth hits all of them?" Donna asked. 17 criteria, Dr. Uzalith corrected, looking up from their datapad, with an expression that might have been respect, or might have been horror. "Earth hits 16 of them. The only thing it doesn't have is a radioactive atmosphere." "Give it time," Donna muttered. We're working on that. Pip flashed a series of colors that translated to terrifying joke or actual warning, cannot determine. Zulmora had managed to get back to his feet, though he looked unsteady. He stared at Donna with an expression she couldn't quite read, something between respect, fear, and the dawning realization that he'd been catastrophically wrong about something fundamental. "You're a Deathworlder," he said slowly. "An actual, honest-to-ancestors Deathworlder. And you've been sitting in class for 3 months just taking notes, being polite, letting me talk." "I was trying to be a good student," Donna said with a shrug. "Plus, interstellar diplomacy and all that. My scholarship application specifically mentioned not causing incidents. You just lifted me like I was a piece of luggage." "You asked for a demonstration of strength." Donna's smile was sharp. "I demonstrated. Very scientific. Very educational. Dr. Uzalith got excellent data, I'm sure." Dr. Uzalith made a strangled sound that suggested they had, in fact, gotten data, and that data was giving them a professional crisis. "This explains so much," Waters said, their liquid form practically vibrating with excitement. "The reports about human ships in the outer sectors, the stories about human engineering teams working in environments that require full hazard suits for other species, and humans just show up in light clothing. The incident on Proxima Station, where a human cargo worker lifted a support beam off a trapped Quilon without mechanical assistance." "That last one made the news?" Donna asked, surprised. "That last one made the news in 16 sectors, Waters confirmed. "They called it a miracle. We thought the human must have been using powered exoskeleton technology. You're telling me that was just normal?" "Adrenaline's a useful hormone," Donna said. "Lets us temporarily override our body's safety limiters in emergencies. We can do some pretty wild stuff when people's lives are on the line." Lopix raised a trembling paw. "What kind of wild stuff?" Donna thought for a moment, then pulled up another video file. This one showed a middle-aged human woman, someone's mother, probably, wearing casual clothing, lifting the front end of a car. Not a toy car, a full-sized vehicle that had to weigh at least 3,000 pounds. The caption read, "Mother lifts, car off trapped son." "That wild," Donna said. Lopix fainted again. "Oh, come on," Donna said, genuinely concerned now. "Someone get him some water or smelling salts or whatever his species uses." 2 students rushed to help Lopix, while the rest continued to stare at the video like it was showing them footage of physics-defying magic. Which, from their perspective, it probably was. "Hysterical strength," Dr. Uzalith murmured, making rapid notes. "I've read about this phenomenon in human medical literature, but assumed it was exaggerated. You're saying this is documented? Repeatable?" "It happens in emergencies," Donna explained. "Usually when someone we care about is in danger. Our adrenal glands flood our system with hormones that let us access strength we normally can't use because it would damage our muscles and tendons. But in a life-or-death situation, our bodies decide that maybe surviving now is more important than preventing tissue damage." "Your bodies can hurt themselves to save others," Pip flashed, colors shifting to something reverent. "That's horrifying." "That's humans," Donna said with another shrug. "We're not the fastest or the strongest or the most armored species in the galaxy. But we're stubborn, we adapt fast, and we really, really don't like watching people we care about get hurt." Zulmora laughed, a sound completely different from his earlier arrogance. This one was quieter, almost bitter. "I spent 3 months telling everyone how superior my species was, how we were apex predators, perfectly evolved, the peak of natural selection." He looked at his claws again. then at Donna. My world is a Class 4. We have one large predator, 2 seasons, and gravity that's 2/3 what you're used to. I've been bragging about being the top of a very small food chain to someone whose entire planet was trying to murder her species for millions of years. To be fair, Donna said, trying to be diplomatic, your lifting numbers were genuinely impressive for your body structure. 1.8 times body weight is nothing to sneeze at. You lifted me, Zulmora said flatly. You picked me up and carried me around the gymnasium while explaining human physiology. I'm never going to live this down. Could be worse, Waters offered helpfully. She could have thrown you. Zulmora made a sound like a dying engine. Can she throw me? Donna considered this seriously. Not very far, maybe 10, 15 feet. I'd need better footing, and I haven't practiced the technique in a while. What do you mean you have a technique for throwing people? Lopix shrieked, having regained consciousness just in time to hear that particular detail. It's called judo, Donna explained. It's a martial art, one of many that humans developed for fighting each other without weapons. There's also karate, kung fu, boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, muay thai, krav maga. How many ways have you invented to fight each other? Dr. Uzalith interrupted, mandibles clicking frantically. Donna thought about it. Depends on how you categorize them. If we're counting distinct martial arts styles from around the world, probably a few hundred. If we're counting weapon-based systems too, maybe 1,000. The gymnasium went silent again. This was becoming a pattern. 1,000 combat systems, Waters said faintly. Your species invented 1,000 different ways to fight. Well, we had to do something during peacetime, Donna said. Plus, a lot of them are more about discipline and self-improvement than actual fighting. Though they work pretty well for actual fighting too, which is nice. This is a nightmare, Zulmora said, but he was almost smiling now, the smile of someone who'd just realized how badly they'd misunderstood something and found it darkly funny. An entire species of Deathworlders who are individually capable of absurd feats of strength can override their own safety systems in emergencies, invented 1,000 ways to fight, and they just go around being polite and helpful and taking notes in class. What else were we supposed to do? Donna Twindidi asked, genuinely puzzled. Conquer the galaxy? Pip suggested, flashing colors uncertainly. Why would we want to do that? We've got enough problems managing one planet. Donna checked her datapad and winced. Speaking of which, I need to call my family later. My little brother's supposed to tell me about his school project. Your little brother, Zulmora said slowly. How old? 12. He's doing something with volcanoes for science class. Should be cute. And can he lift 300 pounds? Probably not yet. He's still growing. Give him a few years. Zulmora sat back down on the floor, looking existentially exhausted. Dr. Uzalith stood up, all 4 arms spread wide in a gesture of academic surrender. Class is dismissed. I need to completely restructure my understanding of Deathworld species. Donna, please submit a detailed report on human physiology by next week. Include any other surprises your species might have that I should know about. Define surprises, Donna said cautiously. Anything that might prevent me from having another cardiac event when I learn about it in class. We can survive for weeks without food, days without water. And we're one of the only species that can safely consume ethanol for recreational purposes. Dr. Uzalith's translator box made a sound like a sigh rendered into binary. Report. Next week. Be thorough.